Listen, in the magic world, there's a lot of bad magic. Like, I'm talking a lot. For the longest time, I had this weird, like, almost arrogant idea that, like, man, you know, most magicians suck. Most magicians are just, you know, they're just kind of like, they're interested in card collecting, they're interested in buying new tricks, they're not interested in learning how to perform, they're not interested in putting routines together, they're not interested in scripting what they're saying. And I kind of got this thing of like, nah, I don't really want to hang out with magicians. But of course, as you mature, you kind of realize that everyone has something to teach you. So they might not be the best performers, but they'll have this. And sleight of hand is also important. You can't deny it. But at the end of the day, performance is number one. So I recently read the book Maximum Entertainment. Now, if you haven't read this book, and you're a magician watching right now, you haven't read Maximum Entertainment, if you want to perform, okay, at any point in your life, so if you want to be a creator, you just create magic and that's it, you never perform it, fair enough. If you just want to be a move monkey and never perform, that's fine too. If you want to be in front of people and display the ability to do supernatural shit, make cards disappear, make cards appear, anything along those lines, you need to read this book, okay? This is like the thing that magicians lack, 100%. So I said in my last video how, you know, in any other art form, let's say comedy, let's say, I don't know, acting, let's say anything, let's say comedy, the comics have to get up on stage 5, 6, 7 nights a week. Sometimes they do multiple spots. They're hustling, doing hours, performing, testing material that they've been practicing. That's ingrained. They understand that you cannot get good at comedy without doing that. In magic, most people don't have that idea. They'll practice a move, they'll practice a sequence. They might even not even practice the sequence. They'll practice individual moves often. Right? I used to do this myself, so I know from experience. They'll practice individual moves, right? They'll practice a way, like, you take the ace, right? And you blow on it, and it changes. And then they'll practice, I don't know, losing a card and finding it, and then they put those two together. But when they put those two together, they don't practice them together. They'll just go out and perform. It's like, I know that move. I'll just improvise as, you know, when I'm there. I know the moves, whatever happens, happens. And it negates the whole idea that there's any skill set to performing, right? If all you needed was this move and that move, then what's the point of actually, you know, scripting, writing, doing all this other stuff? So as a result, you have a lot of inexperienced performers getting spots and getting, because this is the majority of the magicians that are out here, right? They'll get a gig and they go up and they've never performed, or they've never like practiced their routine back to back. You know, they've never done anything. And even at the highest level, man, even at the highest level, I don't want to name names. Maximum Entertainment, but Ken Weber, that's the author. He names a lot of names, so you can go in that book and read it. I am not gonna stir some shit up in the magic community over this stuff. I'm just saying, even at the highest level, there's people making stupid goddamn patter, like a thing will start floating, and they'll be like, "Hey, isn't that cool? It's floating!" Like, and it's just, you can tell they don't know what to say. They're just describing what's happening, etc., etc., etc. So most magicians suck, man. Most magic sucks, okay? That's just the reality. All right, you go to your average magic club and you watch some painful performances at times, you know? Especially when you can tell they haven't practiced the moves, okay? Listen, not practicing routines and stringing everything together is one thing, but if you don't know the move, and I can tell, like, I can tell you're giving away what you're doing, right? You're giving away what you're doing because you haven't practiced. That's not acceptable. I mean, listen, if you flash, everyone screws up from once in a while. Everyone practices something thinking it'll work and it ends up not working. So I can understand that. I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but there's a lot of magic that's just not refined. It's just not good. You just expect that because it's magical, because they can't understand the premise, they can't understand how it works. Well, hopefully they understand the premise, but because they can't understand how it works, then you assume, like, you know, they'll just be interested no matter what I do. That's a mistake. Huge mistake, okay? At its core, magic is a puzzle, okay? This is Maximum Entertainment talks about this. People aren't interested in puzzles. really. I mean, I know friends of mine who are into that, but you're not going to see people paying however much they would pay for a magic ticket for a show to solve Sudoku. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's just not a priority for people. Puzzles are meh, whatever, who gives a shit? So you have to present the puzzle from the perspective of, okay, I have the story that I'm telling, and I'm telling it through this puzzle, okay? And the story may be, you know, a fantasy of yours. It may be like, okay, this is what it would look like if I could make fire appear, and you know, this is how I would be Superman if I could be, and you know, like, so that's the way to present it, right? Now this is one of the things that that Ken Weber talks about, is that you get caught up in the game of magic. You get caught up in the, I need a fool, I need to do this, I need to do that, let me figure out that move, let me figure out this move, and you become like move collector that just keeps working for different moves. You keep accumulating information, but you don't actually end up doing anything with it. That's why if you watch the Chris Angel video, where I talk about how good he actually is at magic, I talk about the fact that he early on understood that he had to basically separate himself from other magicians, right? Which is a very, very interesting idea, where it forces you to create your own style, you know? So a lot of magicians get caught up in that game of the hobbyist, I'm just hanging out with magicians trying to fool each other, and not actually performing, and not actually focusing on the performance craft that magic really is. Most magicians don't write. That, again, I think I've been over that. That's a pretty common thing. Like, I mean, I only started recently, and I didn't even know how to do it. The book itself, Maximum Entertainment, taught me how to do this shit. I didn't know how to write a script. We're performance artists in this goddamn field, and I didn't know how to write a script. That's not something that I grew up learning as a magician that grew up doing magic. That's a big flaw. We need to fix that in the magic community. And when Rob Zabrecki came over and did a lecture in Wellington, his whole lecture was about acting. And I was sitting there, I must have been 18, 19, I think. And I was sitting there going, man, this shit's lame as hell. I want to learn your routines. Why the hell aren't you teaching me the routines? Now I understand. Now I wish I paid more attention to that lecture, right? Because there's so much more to it. Rob Zabrecki does this so well. The whole performance over magic, you know? And in some aspects, you can get away with just really strong magic, right? But you would have to have such a strong collection of magic that, you know, like the way Penn, you know, Taylor does it all without talking, but Penn does the performing for him. So they have an interesting dynamic. Another big thing is that a lot of magicians don't review the tape. They don't look at videos of themselves performing and go, okay, that word was kind of redundant there. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do that. He caught me out in this angle. My hand went down way too quick to my pocket. I should wait and let the tension diffuse and let people think it's over before I go to the pocket, etc., etc., etc. Like, you should be constantly trying to analyze your performance and constantly be trying to improve it. If you're not doing that, that means you're just doing the same shit over and over again, and you're not going to ever get better. So, biggest flaw with magicians, lack of performance. Get out there and perform, son. Get out. I see you over there, son. I see you over there. Chilling there, doing your one-handed cardinal fans and your anacondas and your whatever the hell that's called. I don't remember the. I see you over there. Stop doing that shit and go perform, son.